Hi, good morning. Just give me a minute.
Vidya, Vidya,
Yeah, sorry, Shashwati. Go ahead.
yeah. What was a small request in the
Ah,
day five, which is today, at the end of the slides, there are some PMDs which are called non-callable, non-callable. I don't know how you pronounce it. Could
yeah.
you speak a little bit about that, please?
Those are term deposits. I think you missed the session yesterday. It was there in yesterday's session. Those are deposits, term
But this
deposits,
session
which
you
can
did
be.
in the corner that I couldn't find it there, where you did inward remittances or outward remittances and all that.
Yeah.
It is
So
part
it
of that.
it it was continued in yesterday's session. We did
Okay, okay,
forex. Yes, we
okay.
did
Sorry,
forex day
that's
before yesterday, na. Huh. So it's a part
okay.
of that. So what we
Uh-huh.
are saying is, in case if a customer has some high value deposits, which are
Right,
2 crore and above, and the
right.
customer wants to book those deposits, we can do it. The customer gets a slightly better rate in those deposits, and what he would have an advantage is those deposits will have a better rate than the regular FD rates. So the rates are available with their supervisors, and you can pitch that. However, that non-callable deposits have a lock-in, so that is something that they will have to be keeping in mind, that for the term that they are placing the deposits, those deposits cannot be prematurely withdrawn.
Okay, okay. Acha. And why is it called non-callable? Any particular reason?
I don't know why the nomenclature is non-callable.
Hi Vidya, Shashwati, good morning.
Hi Shilpa.
I
Arju
wanted
had
to,
messaged that she will not be joining in karke.
Acha. What I was asking was that today we have this 3 hour session, right? All the 3 hours we have to speak.
Yes. Yeah, today's session would be on Forex inward, that is Forex card, inward, outward remittances, and
Yeah.
your term deposits.
Yes, so only thing I wanted to ask in वो फॉरेक्स कार्ड में खाली उनका कार्ड फ्री है, बाकी सब चार्जेबल है ना? तो उनका वाला वो जो फर्स्ट कार्ड है वो उनका कार्ड है जो प्रायोरिटी बैंकिंग में मिलता है फ्री,
Yes, the Club Vistara Forex card.
है ना? बाकी सब चार्जेबल है एंड उसकी सर्विसेज जो है वही है एंड इनवर्ड आउटवर्ड में इज देयर एनी स्पेसिफिक लाइक उसमें स्लाइड था क्या कि कितना रेवेन्यू बनता है ऑन एवरी इनवर्ड और आउटवर्ड, व्हाट इज अमाउंट ऑफ रेवेन्यू?
नहीं, वो कहीं पे लिखा नहीं है. I don't think so it's written there.
So if they ask, what should I say?
They
That
can refer to the enterprise circular, which has the details.
enterprise circular.
Yeah,
Acha.
of
Okay,
what is
and
the
one.
point structure. Just give me a minute.
I have one more question before you
Yeah,
start.
just give me a minute. Huh? Getting a
Yeah,
call.
yeah.
So, Shashwati, to answer your question, why is it called non-callable? Because you cannot do a premature closure of it, of those things. So you can't recall the FD back. So how fixed deposits basically and are divided into retail and wholesale. Any deposit below 2 crore is retail. What does it mean by retail? Is that there is a chart, whichever that chart is there, that what are the rates applicable, that will be applicable to all the deposits below 2 crores.
Right.
Anything above 2 crores, that will all depend upon the treasury rates, what is the prevailing bond rates at that particular point of time. So
Right.
anything above 2 crores, every morning by about 9:30, 10 o'clock, they give you indicative rates like 2 crores, 100 rupees to 5 crores. It will be like, let's say 8.75%. Okay, it's indicative. It is just indicative. Now, what happens is then with these rates, the RMs go. They have these cooperative banking customers. They have large corporates, who have got excess money. So they would like to put this money for 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 2 years. So they have to call up the treasury and take these rates. Okay, then that's the reason. And with whatever period that they take it, it is fixed. You can't make a premature breaking of this of this FT, because these are back to back against some kind of bond or treasury bonds which are pledged to take these loans. So that's the reason why they call this as the callable rates.
Okay, and it also says that these have now been centralized with effect. That means they cannot book it at the branch level. So it needs to go to CPU.
Yeah, it has to go, because all these are treasury functions. So treasury takes these gives these special rates.
But see,
So
one thing over
see,
here,
for
Vivek,
example, yeah, one second, let me finish. So
yeah,
what
sure.
happens every 2 hours or 1 hour, the balance sheet team looks
Yeah,
at the balance sheet. Okay, the
yeah,
assets has to be equivalent to liability.
right,
Okay, today let's
right.
say is there's some 10,000 crores of an FD which is matured, and of, let's say, Reliance, and Reliance is not renewing it. Just imagine, can a retail guy on a single day get 10,000 crores? No, it cannot.
No way.
So it may have to go and borrow for overnight from the
Market,
Reserve
all that
Bank of
market.
India.
Uh,
But then other alternative is that I may as well go and give a better rate in the market and try to get some fixed deposit, or reduce this 10,000 crores to at least 2,000 crores or 3,000 crores.
okay.
Okay. So then they give these kind of rates, and then they go to, like for example, some cooperative bank, like for, let's say, it's Goa Urban Cooperative Bank, which I know, I used to handle it. So like we go to them, because any of those deposits that they put into commercial scheduled banks is accounted as an SLR for them. So
Okay.
they'll give you like 30 crores, 40 crores for 6 months, 9 months period, like kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that's how it works. So it's like the ELCO team or the ALM team or the balance sheet team, has different banks have different terminologies. They look
Right.
into all these asset liability mismanagement and things like that.
Right. Okay. But only
Sorry.
my what I was saying is here in the slide, while it says that non-callable deposits can now be booked for 2 crores and above, in fine print where it says please note, it also says Non-callable bank deposits can be booked for greater than 15 lakhs as per existing process.
15 lakhs.
Yeah.
No. I don't know if it is written in a small print. I have no
Small
idea.
print it says, in this is slide number 76. It says,
No, I
and
don't.
then
I don't have the
non-callable
slides. I
bank
don't.
deposits can be booked for greater than 15 lakhs as per existing process. But all big, it's all written that non-callable deposits can be booked for 2 crores and above.
ये clarification लेना पड़ेगा. ये clarification लेना पड़ेगा, because I knew earlier that the retail fixed deposit was 1 crore, then the so they have a fixed rate of interest which you cannot change it. Somebody bringing in 15 lakh and saying is I want a preferential rate. No, I cannot. I will have to give that below 2 crores is a rate which is publicized everywhere. It's on the RBI thing, on the
Right.
internet and everywhere. Anything above 2 crores, it's a treasury call.
Okay, and what does it mean of you that non-callable deposits are crucial in reducing the OLE book?
What is OLE?
I don't know. I'm asking. That's why it's all there on this slide.
OLE, reducing OLE book. See, because
What is OLE, but?
yeah, I don't know. I just Google and see if there's some kind of a technical word to OLE. It's
Is it
something
a
very.
trust and HUF where we cannot lend the money to these? We can't take deposits from these institutions. I think that is what the OLE factor is. Where we can take non-callable deposits, but there are restrictions on whom we take it from.
It is saying you can reduce the OLE book.
One night lending.
So this is basically, yeah, because what happens is the non-callable deposits that we receive from certain institutions can't be used for lending. What happens is, as a bank, whatever money we receive from our deposits, we use it on the lending space. But there are
Right.
certain deposits which we cannot, I mean, even if we have that, we cannot use that money for lending purposes. So that is something that non-callable deposits currently can be lent. So the purpose of taking non-callable deposits from people is that we have a fixed amount that is not going to be given back to the customer till that tenure that is held with us, and that helps us in managing our cash flows and the lending operations. And that's the reason we are taking non-callable deposits. So under no, we are not going to give it back to them. But there are certain institutions like trust and HUF, when we take deposits from them, we can't use it for lending purposes. So that is one of the aspects here. So which of the deposits that we take can be used for other purposes like lending, and non-callable deposits are primarily used for other functions of the bank.
But what is this? Are crucial in reducing the OLE book? What is the meaning of that? That's there on the slide.
We'll have to check that out what it means. But see, generally banks don't advocate in a big way uh, taking deposits at a high cost, because the 2008 issue which we saw was all about the banks having high cost deposits in their this thing. So that SBI or ICICI who had offered, they were offering. I know about Zuari Agro and I know about Goa Shipyard, where they were offering about 13% for 1 year, 1 day deposits, and 50 crores and above. So this was like because they had a huge lending portfolio, but they didn't have, they could not mobilize deposits. So they went on giving big this thing. So, when the 2008 happened, uh, the cost of deposits of some of the banks was so high that there was no way that they could wriggle off. Specifically, ICICI got into that trap. So then they said is we will have to generate these retail deposits, and all these high cost deposits as they mature, we will not this thing. And that's where the NIMs started coming up from 2.8 to 3.3 and so on and so forth. They went, and now they're doing very well. So that word which you are using, improves OLE, is contradicting, and that's the reason it may be something internal that we will need to find out.
Yeah, maybe if you or Vidya could give us a heads up on after checking. Also, the 15 lakhs, which is written in the slide.
Correct.
Request it, if you could let us know before the training starts, please. Either you or Vidya.
You will check.
This is slide number 76, Vidya.
All right.
Day 5, slide number 76. And the small fine print, it says non-callable bank deposits can be booked for greater than 15 lakhs as per existing process. That's in the small print. And the last line says non-callable deposits are crucial in reducing the OLE book. If you could
Yes.
please let us know before the session, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yes. Can we begin? Shilpa?
Yeah, there was one question which had popped up yesterday, which was
Huh.
that which you had already said ki, if you have joined in March, will you earn incentives?
Huh.
In March or February, and then four accounts, 12 accounts करने हैं क्वार्टर के, या फिर अगर आपने फेब में ज्वाइन किया है तो क्या करना है? So
मार्च वाले आपके पास कैंडिडेट्स थे? You had anyone who had joined in March?
Yeah, I mean, if he was asking, I didn't ask.
Yeah, there is. Okay. तो वो they will not be eligible ना, because उनकी portfolio mapping भी होनी चाहिए. And then they have to spend 30 days. Basically, for incentives, anybody who spends 30 days in the RM role will be eligible for incentives.
That's what I
But
told
for
them.
that
The
to
only thing
happen,
I was
you need to have the portfolio also mapped now, because your performance is also tracked as per portfolio mapping, and that generally takes about a few days.
no,
इसीलिए मैं
that
पूछ
he
रही
said
थी.
it was mapped to him and all that. But only question I couldn't answer was कि every month 4 करने हैं, तो then according to that February अगर मैं join किया है तो then 8 करने हैं कि 12 करने हैं?
Depends on
क्योंकि
when his portfolio has got mapped.
no, so for example, if
Because
he joined in
if
February
it has
and
got, he has joined in February and his
Mhm.
portfolio has got mapped within the first 15 days, then the month of February is also eligible. He'll have to do 4 plus 4, 8. But let's say he's joined in February and the portfolio has mapped, let's say post 15th of the month, then the he just needs to do the March targets, which are 4.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So basically, the performance generally starts from the following month of portfolio mapping. But if the portfolio mapping has happened early on in the current month, then that month would also count.
Got it. Thanks a lot.
Okay, all right. So this is what we have on mutual funds. Again, something that we will have to uh, this is Monday session basically. Access Direct we completed yesterday, and in fact, that session was a surprise for me as well, because I think there's been some changes, last minute changes that happened, and the session of Access Direct that happened yesterday. All right. So in investment,
But that was
IPS is investment.
anyways their
Hmm.
session only, na? They only had
It
to
was
take
their
it.
session only, yeah, and it was a
Yeah.
2 hour session that was swap typing. So that was the reason. Even the participants were taken by surprise. कि चलो ये कैसे हो गया करके.
And
So
this is our session or their session, mutual fund and
which one?
IPS? The one
Mutual
which
fund
you're
and
doing today?
IPS, to be honest, this is our session, but we haven't had too many sessions on this particular piece from their side. So as far as information goes, what I have is also quite basic information that I have, because this is a newly introduced session, so to say. So we've just had about, I think, one session on IPS so far. So not very clear on the IPS. It's basically what happens is any kind of mutual fund transactions have to be routed through this tool. And that is what IPS is all about, investment product solutions. And what they are asking the RMs to do is make sure that you get access to this tool only if they are certified. So their certifications become important, because unless they are certified in SP and EUIN, they will not be mapped to this tool. So all your transactions from your customers basically, you know, are redundant, because I don't have the application. If I don't have the application, the transactions that I execute do not get mapped to me. So it is also in their interest, because mutual fund is such a critical cross-sell product for them. They need to make sure that their certifications are, arranged as quickly as possible. So starting with the discussion, we start with mutual funds, because basically all kinds of investments in mutual funds, and even your PMS, the managed accounts that we were talking about, all that happens. The credits for all that comes through the IPS application. So first we start with the discussion on mutual funds, what mutual funds are, and by now, if they have access to IPS, they are also certified in mutual funds. So more or less, participants and your RM profile people well aware of what mutual funds are all. Just let me know if the slide is visible.
It is
Are the
visible.
slides visible? Okay,
Visible.
yeah.
Visible.
Yeah, because I've been facing some challenge since morning, so I was just checking. It's visible, right? Okay. So, why mutual funds? All those host of reasons why customers should opt for mutual funds, be it in terms of opportunities for different schemes. The customer can opt for smaller investment amounts as well. So there are low transaction costs. The investment sizes also is flexible. The customer can choose, and there's flexibility in choosing the schemes. The entire mutual fund industry is a regulated industry. You have transparency in terms of the management. You have information that is available on your systems, on the sites, in terms of how the performance of the mutual fund is happening. It's a regulated industry. This risk is also diversified, because there are so many people who are investing through mutual funds. And at Axis, we have a strong mutual fund portfolio as well. We have a whole range of schemes depending upon the investment appetite of the customer, the risk appetite of the customer. Tax benefits are available for mutual funds, certain mutual funds like ELSS and so on. So basically, all these reasons why a customer should opt for mutual funds. Someone who's not very investment savvy in direct equity investment can obviously go through the mutual fund route for investments. Has been known to give good returns, steady returns, so to say. All you require is an understanding of how the market operates. It is subject to risk, but at the same time, you have investment advisors, RMs, who are guiding you through that. And at the same time, you can get fairly good returns, professionally managed, so to say, fund managers. So you have the expertise and the experts handling the funds. So a little bit of brief of mutual funds is what you can give here. The different types of mutual funds. So like I said, the agenda here is you get to sell mutual funds only once you are certified. So these are the different types of mutual funds: the open-ended funds, where the customer can enter and exit at any point in time; close-ended, wherein you can join in only during select times. Exit is not possible till the time accordingly the fund has been there. So interval fund, again, a combination of maybe an open-ended, close-ended fund. Actively managed funds, those are actively managed. Passive funds, which are not so actively managed, so to say. Once the investment is made, you will not be having a constant tracking of those funds. You have equity funds, which are quite popular, where investments are made in equities, convertible debentures, so to say. Debt funds, which are primarily investments in debt securities like government bonds, treasury bills, so on. And a hybrid fund, which is a combination of both debt and equity. So A, you need to make sure that in case there are people who are not yet completed their SPUIN, they would want to make sure that this gets done, because A, you need to qualify and clear the NISM piece on mutual funds, so that they can offer mutual funds to their customers and claim credit for the same for the business that they do. In terms of different types of mutual funds, the a select few have been highlighted here. Like I said, in each of these funds also, there's a whole range of options for the customer to choose from. And within Axis Mutual Funds also, there's been a lot of mutual funds traction that is there. So at Axis, we offer all kinds of mutual funds for our customers, be it the Axis Mutual Funds or, for that matter, others as well. We have also the debt funds, and again, a simplification or an overview of the various debt funds that are available. The gilt funds, which are into treasury bills, government securities, the diversified debt fund, which is a mix of government and non-government securities. You have the junk bond schemes, which is basically investing in bonds which have poor quality debts, so to say, and that's why the junk bond scheme, but giving you returns. You have the fixed maturity plans, where you have you can invest in funds which are offering you a fixed maturity. You have floating rate funds, which are investment in floating debt securities, so to say. Money market schemes, which are investment in debt securities, where money is paid back in shorter intervals. So these are short term funds. So depending upon the risk appetite of the customer, the requirement of the customer, different types of mutual funds can be opted for, be it equities, be it debt, so on and so forth. It's a huge, so mutual funds itself is a huge area where a lot of information is available, and depending upon the need of the customer, information is also shared as a part of the research team from Access. So today, if the customer or RM wants to figure out which are the funds that he or she should advise to their customers, we have research documents being sent, which can be shared with the customers. We have conversations like phone calls that happen. I think it happens on every Wednesday or something, wherein you have mutual fund speakers coming in and talking about what are the mutual funds out there, talking about a particular fund that has been launched, or what are the things that are currently happening. So all that investment and guided advice is available for the RM. So it's not as if he doesn't know what to pitch at any given point in time. He has ready access to the kind of mutual funds that can be offered to the customers basis the advisory that comes in from the investment desk. Besides that, there are I think weekly con calls, wherein you have these value added sessions where you can attend and listen to what is the fund managers come and speak. So those kind of information input is also available to the RMs. The equity funds, again, the details of the various types of equity funds that are available, the diversified equity, sectoral funds, thematic funds, ELSs, dividend yield schemes, arbitrage funds. Each fund has its own pros and cons. The customer needs to understand that why he is investing in mutual funds, because it is subject to risk. There is an element of risk, and you need to make you need to have your understanding before you put in those funds. And that's why you also have wealth advisors whose help can be taken for convincing a client, or maybe information that needs to be suggested for the investment in mutual funds. So different types of mutual funds they're available. Like you see, ELS is coming in with tax benefits. You have the dividend yield scheme, wherein you get dividend. You have arbitrage funds, which takes basically a stand which is contrary to the market, and so on. Some other few more mutual funds that are available: the gold fund, the gold sector fund, real estate fund, commodity fund, international fund, exchange fund. Like I said, because it's an ocean out there, not everything is covered on this slide. There are many more which the customer may opt for or ask for. So at any point in time, the RM can check with the mutual fund team, or can look at what are the opportunities available in consultation with the discussions of the wealth advisor, and go ahead and guide the customer. The choice is up to the customer, but for the customer to invest in mutual funds, it is important that his KYC is compliant and the registration onto the mutual fund platform is done. So like I said, if a customer is mapped to me, unless I have the IPS portal, I will not be able to register the customer for mutual funds, and I will not be able to do the risk profiling, because all these things are critical preliminary activities that need to be done by the RM for the customer to make investments. And besides, only if the customer's investments happen will the credit gets mapped to me. So all these are interconnected. The certifications, the access to the IPS application, and subsequently putting those transactions in IPS on behalf of the customer. So that the customer can also invest directly by registering for mutual funds through the internet banking, mobile banking platform. So that is also there. But what is imperative is the customer's details have to be updated, which means the mobile number, the email ID has to be correct, because this is where the validations would happen. So if the customer opts for a transaction through internet banking, he will be receiving those alerts through validation alerts for OTP and email. Email links would be shared. He can confirm and validate the transaction. So this becomes critical for the customer. So any customer who's an existing customer who wants to do that, either the RM does it on behalf of the customer, or the customer himself chooses to do it through the internet banking, mobile banking platforms. Either ways, when he logs into his system through internet banking, he also gets a complete overview of his mutual fund holdings as well once he is registered for mutual funds. Apart from the various different categories of mutual funds, we also have the SIP, which is quite popular and taken by everyone. So there's this chart which talks about rupee cost averaging and how a customer or an investor can make wealth even with small amounts due to the principle of consistent savings, and over long term it will generate the returns which the customer would be able to enjoy. And any kind of variance fluctuations in the markets get evened out because of the systematic investment approach that the customer is opting for. So for that purpose, today we have a whole lot of SIPs as well. So how we have a range of mutual funds. Similarly, for against each of these mutual funds, we can also offer SIPs. And here again, the customer has the choice of opting for mutual funds either in the form of a lump sum investment or in the form of an SIP. And the customer can take the benefit of that. Today, for as low amount as 500, the customer can go in for an SIP investment. Here, there is a simple chart, a comparison for an investment that is made for 10,000 rupees per month over a period of 5, 10, 15, and 20 years, and how your investment grows. And that is what we are trying to say. Any kind of investment, for it to grow, we need to give it time, and we need an opportunity like an SIP can be a good opportunity for them to generate returns. So today, if your investment is consistent, regular, you will be also able to make good money out of it. And that is what is the SIP slide here talking about. A 10,000 rupee investment over a span of 20 years can earn up to what's the amount? 52 lakhs 56,969, as against only for 5 years, which is 1,80,824. So that is the advantage of SIPs. On mutual funds, we also have a lot of objections that usually come in, and that is what we have tried to capture here. Some objections on mutual fund. So you can have a discussion on that. What happens if a customer says that the market is volatile? Would it not be better to invest in FD? So some justifications as to why you would want to opt for mutual funds. So some responses there which the RM can give is what we have captured on this slide here. If the market is too volatile, here again, bank FDs is advisable if your goals are short term, but if you need guaranteed returns or if you need liquidity, we can, because mutual funds at the same time are easily can be redeemed as well by the customer's choice. So this again is something that works well for the customer today at any point in time. It might be volatile, but at the same time, today, if you have consistent returns, and that's what we were talking about in the previous slide, that over a long term, mutual funds are giving consistent and fairly good returns, and that is what we are looking at. A lot of times, customers get anxious, get panicky. Because in short term the markets are behaving or there's some correction happening and you're not very sure whether you should stay invested or not. So today, if your goals, are long term, it is advisable to stay invested. Do not get anxious or do not worry if your investments are showing a dip in the current markets. So some kind of responses that can be offered by the RM is what is highlighted in these slides. We also have a few other objections on mutual funds that are captured here. I feel the stock market will fall. Will it not be better for me to wait for some time till the prices fall further? And here again, because we are retail investors, we don't really, and it's very difficult to predict the market or time the market. So sometimes we feel that if we wait further, it might be good, or maybe, it works for us. It maybe it doesn't work for us. Things don't go as planned. So that is what we are trying to highlight here, that nobody can predict the market. There are always expectations for the markets to fall further and then invest. Suggestions would be, as on today, whatever works well for you. We would want to advise the customers that, because tomorrow is any which ways uncertain. So if it's a good buying opportunity, this opportunity will be missed if the market appreciates from here. So if there's a turnaround in the market, so what opportunity is there currently may be missed. If it falls further, we can always any which ways invest more. So some objections here and the possible responses with respect to mutual funds. We have another objection, which is the third objection: market growing rapidly. Should I invest directly in the equity markets rather than using the mutual fund route? Like I said, for seasoned investors, maybe they invest in equities directly, but those who are not very sure, mutual fund is obviously a better alternative than investing directly in stocks, because the risks are diversified. The funds are managed by capable fund managers, the experts. There's a research team that's working to take care that the investor does not lose out on behalf of market fluctuations. So today, if it's the right time to invest in equity, a professionally managed mutual fund scheme involves stock selection and time. Like I said, the expertise that a retail investor is missing is provided by the mutual fund team. Mutual fund schemes reduce the risk by investing in different companies and industries. The portfolio mix and rebalancing is better managed by professionals like fund managers, very low expense ratios, and so on. So some responses for this objection, which usually come for mutual funds, is highlighted here. Besides, you also have the flexibility to move your money from one scheme to the other using the systematic transfer plan. So here, in case if the customer wants to exit, feels that it still is, he would want to go ahead and move out, then that also is offered by the customer, by the plan. So different types of plans available, and the customer can pick and choose how he wants. Like I said, at the end of the day, it is always the customer's choice. If I want to exit, I can always exit. If I want to enter at any point in time, nothing stops me from entering. But this kind of decisions, guided by the decisions and advisory from the financial advisor, like an RM, can bring in better returns. And that is what we would want to say, that we are equally concerned with while managing the wealth of the customer, and wealth creation is one of the objectives for an RM himself. So we take care before we suggest schemes, and that's why any mutual fund offering that we would want to share with our customers comes from the research and investment desk, which have vetted these investment opportunities, and then they have given a go ahead, and that's how we offer the recommendations to our customers. We also have another objection, which is redeem my mutual fund portfolio as it is showing negative returns. Like I said, knee-jerk reactions at times can prove costly for the customer, because it could be an interim dip in the market, and we never really know. There are these cyclical fluctuations that happen. There are those global cues that affect your mutual fund investments, so on and so forth. So we would want to make sure that the customer understands and takes a calculated decision before actually, taking these kind of abrupt decisions to withdraw. So we need to understand. Many times it is also important for the RM. So while we advise the customer to stay invested and not, get jittery by these regular fluctuations in the market, it is also imperative for the RM to keep checking and have a review of the portfolio. So while the customer may not be the expert, it is expected that at least the RM, who is now a certified a person in mutual funds and investments, you would want to make sure that as a RM, you are able to give those qualitative inputs. Maybe the customer has put an investment in a mutual fund which has not been turning out well, and staying invested is not the right decision. Maybe you need to churn the portfolio. Maybe you need to exit and look at alternatives. So unless as an RM, I have not reviewed the portfolio, I have not gone through how has the funds been performing, I will not be able to give the right decisions. So we would, while the sentiments of the markets are at one side, I as an RM should also be responsible in understanding what are the kind of funds that my customer has invested in and whether continuing makes sense for the customer. As and when I feel that maybe this would be the right time to exit, and maybe this would be the time when I would want, or I would want to recommend the customer to shift his investment, that also should be done from the RM side from time to time. So as an investment advisor, we would want to take responsibility for the portfolios of the customer because they are trusting us with their money. So that is what we are talking about here. Like I said, we also have the advisory panel, the wealth experts who are there in branches, attached to branches, whose help and assistance can be taken by the RM to have a look at the customer portfolio and maybe suggest alternatives for investments as well. So here again, if the customer wants to redeem because it's showing negative returns, one of the responses should be that equity as an asset class can give negative returns in short term, but in long term, you can be rest assured that, more or less there would be a turnaround, and investments generally end up in the positive. But this again depends upon the kind of investments that you have entered in. So a relook and a recheck, and that's why we say we need to keep tracking our investments. And the more you review on a regular basis, the better place you are positioned you are in terms of achieving your goals, financial goals. So there's no point in redeeming your mutual funds portfolio in a loss if your goal is long term. Have faith in the stock selection of the scheme. All right, so this was a little bit of brief on mutual funds. Like I said, all of them would be certified or should be certified before they start discussing mutual funds with their customers. So we talk about IPS, which is the application in which the mutual funds transactions are entered by the RM. Today, when we talk about the IPS, it also handles the PMS. It also handles all the requirements in terms of mutual funds that are required for the customer, be it in terms of statements, be it in terms of holdings, the portfolio performance, historical data, all that available in the software itself. Today, when we talk about the features of the IPS module, the customer, once he has the internet banking and mobile banking platform, he would be able to view the entire portfolio in a nutshell in his internet banking and mobile banking platform. He can see all the stocks that he has. He can also have the data in terms of when it was purchased, what is the valuation as on today, what is the projected profit or loss against each of those investments. As an RM also, I have the details of all my mapped customers in my IPS platform. I would be able to do transactions on behalf of the customer as well, like how I would do it in Siddhi, where I generate a transaction, send it as a transaction alert to the customer. The customer validates that transaction, goes through the transaction, sees whether the details are okay, and authenticates through an OTP or an email. So the same feature is available here. You have the physical application process, you have the OTP based email authentication process as well, depending upon where your customer is based. But what is imperative is the RM should have access to the tool, which means he needs to be certified. And for the customer needs to complete a one-time registration process. So the mutual fund registration process is important for the transactions to be put into the system in the IPS. So this again for IPS, seamless customer experience, one glance statement, automated or paperless transactions possible, quality data maintenance, higher volume scalability, uniform process across all segments and channels, controls mis-selling, regulatory compliance, seamless process for RM registration, mapping, business credit, and tracking. So those are some features. Like I said, this is mapped to the RM post certifications only. So some options in which the customer can or the RM can opt for mutual fund transactions, so to say, and the customer base, all these people can use IPS or on behalf of these customer base, we can do transactions in the system. Again, what are the transactions that we can do? The mutual funds, the structured products, equity, DPMP, that is the portfolio management scheme, bonds, life insurance, general insurance, all these transactions can be done through IPS. We also have a slider here for important contact details from the point of view of reaching out at any point in time. If the RMs are facing any challenges, they can reach out to the support team, and the numbers and email IDs mentioned here. In mutual funds, we also would want to make sure about the timelines, because certain fund houses and the cutoff times would still continue. So today, if there is a fund house and there's a cutoff for, different types of schemes have different cutoffs. So those transactions have to be executed within those timelines. So requests up to 5:30 are attended within 3 hours, yes, but we would also need to be mindful of the various timelines that are put up by the mutual fund houses for executing their transactions, because that would make an impact on your customer transactions as well. So the first is the RM mapping. Like I said, you cannot move ahead till the time the mapping has been completed in the system. So you would want to ensure that the RM mapping happens. Just give me a minute. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes, Vidya, good morning.
Hi, Anju, you joined. Okay. Yeah,
Yes,
good morning.
from 11.
It's just that my screen na wo hang ho gaya aisa lag raha hai mujhe. That's the reason. Just I think I'm facing some uh,
So we can see
just
RM
buffer.
mapping and EUIN updation in IPS. This
That is
slide.
the screen. Yeah, just
Yeah.
just give me a minute. I was just shifting between slides because the screen is stuck. Just give me a minute for it to. Yeah. All right. All right. So this, what was I saying? Yeah, the RM mapping. So the RM mapping has to be done, and when the mapping is done, he'll be able to do transactions in IPS. The details of the transactions, the mapping happens back end on receipt of the certifications. The customer, the RM also needs to ensure that the certifications have been shared. So this, as a part of the induction, we would have told the customer, we would have told the RM that, whether if he's not certified, he needs to get certified by passing those exams. If he's already certified, then all he needs to do is get an NOC from his previous organization and pass on and do the transfer process, so that his details can be mapped into the access records. So that is what we are talking about here. Important for him to do this first, and then he will be able to do transactions in IPS. So today, when we talk about IPS, this is a screen grab of how the application looks. And here again, for the
Vidya,
RM, yes,
Vidya, just the
yeah,
earlier
Shashwati,
screen, please. Just the earlier screen, please.
yeah.
Here in the second box where it says branch analytics, it
Huh.
talks about have customer mapping done in branch analytics deepening base. What is this?
So under branch analytics, you will be able to see the list of your mapped customers, no?
Okay.
So
So
those
deep,
mapping also would have to be done, right? Otherwise, I
so
will
the
not be able
deepening
to.
base is basically the ETB customer base that is there, which you are mapped to
ETB,
us.
NTB, all. ETB, NTB, all customers that are mapped will be able to see in branch analytics, will be able to see in Siddhi, will be able to see in
So that
Priority
is the
Lighthouse.
deepening base. Means I'm just trying to understand what is branch analytics deepening base.
The list of customers whose accounts need to be deepened will be listed in the deepening base. No, today my
Oh,
KRAs are on the customer accounts that are getting deepened, right? So that is the list
okay.
of customers that are reflecting. So under branch analytics, deepening base, I'll be able to see all the customers that are tagged and mapped to me. So
Okay,
that is
fine.
one part where I need customers that are mapped to me. The second is I need application also to be aligned to me. So both
Yeah,
these
okay.
things need to happen before I start working on actively using IPS for sourcing mutual funds or any other alternate products
Right.
for my
Thank you.
customers.
Thank you.
So this again, a screen grab, like I said, for all different types of products that can be done. And here IPS again, log in with your user ID and password. So it is a tool which needs to be mapped to you, and using your credentials, you will enter the details in the transaction, whatever is the investment transaction that the customer has. So today it starts with, for a customer to opt for mutual funds, the registration process needs to be done. And there are different types of registration process that can be done. A physical mode is there and an execution mode is there, which is the online mode. What we need to do is ensure that we do the risk profiling of the customer, get the customer to agree. So if it's a physical process, that is what we are talking about here, where the customer under the RM meets the customer, creates the details in the system in terms of who the customer is, who's going in for an investment, puts in the details in terms of the particulars. Most of the things will get auto-populated because it is from the system. So at any point in time, if there's any variance with the customer information and what is there in the system, it is advisable that the RM gets that rectified, because those would be the information. The information gets picked up from the system. So if the information from the system is incorrect, all the further investments that the customer does will have incorrect information. So let's say if it's an address that there is a mismatch, or maybe an email ID which needs to be corrected. The RM first would have to ensure that the finical, I mean, in the system, in the records, we do the correction of the email ID or maybe the contact number or the details, because like I said, if the alerts for the customer will be sent to the email ID that is mentioned in the system, the OTP validation gets sent to the number which is registered. So one of the first preliminary checks that the RM will have to do is ensure that the customer details match with what we have in the system. If there is a mismatch, he will have to first ensure that those are corrected, and then we go ahead and opt for this. So the client details are filled up by the customer and the ID gets generated in the system. The RM needs to ensure that this is signed off by the customer, and then he scans it and sends it across to the supervisor for authentication. And if the application check or anything for the mutual fund then can be collected and sent across. So that is the physical process. Again, there are different stages to this entire process. Whenever it's a physical process that needs to be signed, authenticated by the customer, we can fill up the details, and because it's system linked, a lot of it gets auto populated, pre-filled by the system. But because it's a physical application, you need to take a printout, you'll have to have the customer signed. Once the customer is signing out the forms, you can forward it for validation check from your supervisor and subsequently authenticate it and send it for processing. The activation and
Vidya,
investment ID. Yeah.
Vidya, when we are talking of creating the ID in the system, we are talking of creating an ID in the IPS system,
Yes,
even
we
for
are
a physical form.
yes,
Oh,
because only
oh,
then the credits will be mapped. See, all
great.
my investment credits are pulled up from the data in IPS.
Okay,
So unless I route it, like how my business credits are linked to CRM, unless I put it in CRM, I will not get credit for the same. So anything
right.
done outside the IPS, I will not be able to claim credit for the same. So
Okay,
business
right.
credits are pulled from the system. So every transaction has to be entered in the system and subsequently processed, be it the physical or for that matter, the online process. So here
Okay,
again,
thank
today,
you.
the lead generation is also equally important. in CRM. So you put in the lead generation, and once you put in the lead, it can directly take you to the IPS system because of the integration here. So that's what we are talking about here. So put in the lead, move on to the IPS, put in the details of the transaction that you would want to do. Here again, that we talked about, the KIF ID or the details in the system of the customer gets replicated. So you would want to make sure that the customer's KIF is available and the information is correctly captured. You would want to do the risk profiling. This again is the one-time process that you undergo. You need not do it for every investment, but the first time when you're creating the investment ID for the customer, you will have to go through this process. So update the risk profile and the investment ID creation subsequently gets happened. Today, if it's a joint account, you would have to create for the joint account holder as well the same details and then confirm it in the system. And subsequently, the investment ID once gets opened. So that is the process for the creation of an investment ID. We also have another process, which is the execution. Now, this is completely online. So here what happens is the customer need not give me a signed request, which needs to be then collected, forwarded, processed, so on and so forth, which is a slightly longer process. We have the online base. So the distribution is the physical and the execution is the digital mode. And here under digital mode, there are different options available: internet banking, OTP based, tablet or desktop based physical process. The customer can opt for any of these alternatives. Now let's look at each of these in further detail. How does this process work? So first starts with the physical registration. Like I said, every investment ID would start with the registration that happens. So today, irrespective of the type of customer, I can take investments or source investments from any of these clients, and the credit can get mapped to me. The execution mode is available for mutual funds and bonds. That is the online. The distribution modes still needs to be done in physical. So that is what we are talking about. We would want to make sure the customer signatures are taken in for bonds, insurance. So there is still a physical mode to the entire investment journey as well. So here, in terms of documents, in terms of individual clients, what are the documents in terms of that needs to be collected, differ from category of customer, and depending upon the category of customer, you would have to collect those respective documentations as well. And if you're doing it through the physical mode, these set of documents, signed documents that you collect from your respective customers, need to be signed, authorized, and sent across to the IPS team so that they can execute and they can create those transactions. The account opening TAT, what they are giving is T plus 1 day, and T being you would want to make sure that it gets received and processed. And that's why we say error free. You would want to make sure that all your documents that you're collected is error free so that it gets set up within the timelines for your customer as well. So at any point in time, like I said in the first slide, when we talked about the help desk numbers and the email IDs, those would be your point of contacts to connect for any kind of issue or escalation, so on. The escalation matrix is also given. Because these would be investments that can be time bound. So maybe an NFO that is, towards the fag end, and the deadline, the last day of investment is coming in. So you would want to be very clear on how the process needs to work, and you execute it within those timelines. So today, when we talk about the process, so this is how a workflow in terms of how the process needs to be captured for each of those methods, irrespective of your type of account opening that you're doing. This would be the workflow that would be followed. So under distribution mode, you speak to your customer, figure out what his investments are, you figure out the KIF, update the risk profile, create an investment ID, then you go ahead and obtain the signed mutual fund documentation, collect the check. At any point in time, if there's any deviation, then that deviation needs to be sorted before you actually put it in the system. Whatever entries that you do in the system has a maker checker concept. So I have entered in the details, I have taken the client signature, then I scan it across, and then I put it up to my supervisor, who then reviews the entire application in full. and sees whether everything is complete, and then subsequently puts it for verification. So that's how the entries need to be verified. So that again is something that the RMs will have to track. If I'm putting in a system entry, it is also my responsibility to ensure that the entry gets verified on time. Because like I said, sometimes fund houses and all these things have certain timelines within which you will want to make sure. So those entries need to be verified, and then you go ahead and put in the application for processing deposit, the check. Acknowledgements can be shared with the customer, and then go on to track the application and check clearance. And subsequently, the investments would get done. So that is the physical mode, which is called the distribution mode. In the execution mode, also there is a physical aspect wherein what we are trying to do is the customer gets all these details pre-filled. Like I said, I have the information of the customer. I pre-fill the details in the system after checking with the customer what is the type of investment that he wants to do. And what I do is I send across a request for account opening, and the customer gets the can authenticate the same either through an OTP or a email ID authentication link, and subsequently the same gets put up in the system. So today, be it the physical mode or the online mode or the customer himself doing it through internet banking, mobile banking, all alternatives available for the customer. I can do it in the physical mode. I can have the RM do it for me, or I as a customer can do it myself through internet banking, mobile banking. All we need to do is, even if I'm logging in through internet banking under my mobile banking or internet banking platform, as a customer, when I'm taken to the investment page, I will have to do that one-time registration. I myself put in all those details, confirm it in the system, and then I'll be able to do the investments on my side. So that is how the different processes in terms of ID or account opening works in the system. We also have a process where maybe the customer is having a change in the information that is there. So there's a modification that needs to be done. So today, if there is a KIF modification that needs to happen, like I said, some essential details which are picked up from the system do not match, then that has to happen from the RM side or from the customer side. So today, if there is any issue of that kind, the customers details will first have to be modified, and only subsequently it is advised that the customer go in for the investments. So what is the modification process? Like I said, some are very simple. The customer himself can do the changes through his internet banking platform. If an RM needs to do, maybe you need to take a service request from the customer and get that done. So those will have to be processed. At any point in time, if the customer wants, or if the customer or the RM himself wants information on what are the options in terms of investments that can be offered to my customers for learning or for understanding purposes or for information that needs to be shared with the customer, we have the tab under branch analytics, access business reports, the option for repository. And here again, I can take the help for information. Any and every information with respect to investments are available under the IPS repository, and I can get information on that process. It could be alternate products, it could be registration, mutual funds, as the case may be. So all those that are available on the IPS platform, the information about that is available in the repository that is available in branch analytics. We have the transaction. So here again are the two different types of main bifurcation that we have done, the physical and the digital mode. And a comparison is what we are talking about here between these alternatives. So today, if there is a process comparison, this is again what we are talking about, how it differs from the type of journey that you are creating for your customer, be it the physical or the online mode. Today, it has become very, very simple. And like we promote, the digital is the way ahead because the validation checks are inbuilt. You get prompted from time to time if you're doing anything incorrectly or any such information is not captured correctly. Physical, any which ways, will have a longer tag and it is prone to errors as well. So request the customer to opt for the ticker based or the OTP based options for executing the customer transactions. So here, when you talk about a ticker-based request, you're putting in the details of the customer in the mutual fund system. You're uploading the customer. You forward it to the customer on his registered email ID, and the customer confirms on the registration by clicking on the validation link, and subsequently the entry gets executed for the customer. Alternatively, it can also be shared as an OTP for a customer. So today, when I'm having a discussion with the customer and I've pre-filled the details in the IPS system, whatever the RM fills on behalf of the customer needs to be necessarily validated by the customer. But this validation can either be an email validation or can be in the form of an OTP validation. So today, if I'm sitting across the customer and the customer has seen whatever it is that I have filled in on behalf of the customer, he sees my screen. I share an OTP message which the customer validates and sends it. Let's say I'm not in front of the customer and I have filled in the details. I can share it as an email link, which the customer on clicking will review whatever as the details the RM has filled in and then validates that. So options, alternatives available for the transactions as well for the RM. We have the
Vidya,
IPS. Yeah.
Vidya, the earlier slide, please. This customer execution mode customer request ticker. When we're talking of this, the create investment request ticker and send it to customer, and then obtain sign a mutual fund request or consent form. Now, this is a physical form here,
This is
or
a
how is
consent on the email. The consent, the validation is happening on the email. If the customer wants to download the form, sign it and send it across as a physical request, that is also possible. So many a
then?
times there could be a
Okay.
customer that the choice is available for the customer, because what we are doing is we are making it simple for the customer. He need not do the whole thing himself. We are doing it on his behalf. So either the customer validates it or he signs it and gives it to us. Either way, the transaction would get processed for the customer.
And if he is suppose giving it on as a physical, like this
As a
point
physical
number,
form, I
you're
take the
opting.
physical form
Huh.
back to me. I upload it, scan it in the system, get it authorized by my supervisor, and then subsequently the journey moves ahead.
And what happens to the physical form?
The physical form has to be sent to the processing team. So the
To the
scan request is already
IPS.
sent. Yeah,
Okay,
it
so
gets
the IPS
authorized by the
processing
checker.
team.
Yeah, it gets
Okay.
authorized by the supervisor, and subsequently the scan request is forwarded simultaneously. Because it's a physical form, the physical form also has to reach the location where it is the IPS processing center. So the
Okay.
scanned document is sent ahead, but the physical also needs to follow.
Thank you.
So these are the alternatives here in
Sorry,
terms of what are
basically,
the input.
basically what
Sorry.
they're saying in that slide is physical में वो CAMS से जाने से पहले CAMS में तो जाके देना पड़ेगा because the ARN बैंक का capture होएगा और ARN of the क्या बोलते हैं RM का capture होएगा. But before, so that there is reconciliation के लिए they have to scan that and send it to our back office team also. So the reconciliation can be done, and when the payout comes in, correct mapping can be done.
Okay, thank you. So the form ultimately does go to CAMS, physical form.
If it is a physical process.
Yes, if it is
If it's a physical
process.
journey.
Thank you.
So here, details of what essentially are required and how it needs to be executed is what we are talking about here. Tracking is very, very simple. The RM can track, the customer at his end also can track if he has access to internet banking, mobile banking, and that's what we are suggesting. As far as possible, if the customer does the journey himself, it becomes that much more simpler and easier because everything is instantaneous. The RM need not wait, because often what happens is the customer on behalf of the customer, we initiate a journey, but then the validations are stuck. The customer has not authenticated the journey, due to which the sales process either takes long or maybe is stuck up because something that is still pending from the customer. When the customer does everything at his end, it is a faster processing for the RM, and credits also get automatically mapped because this is a customer that is mapped to him and he gets credit for the transactions done by him. So that is the beauty, and that is why we would want the customers to experience how hassle free it is to opt for these investments through the internet banking, mobile banking platforms. So here is what we are talking about with the customer ID, the risk profile, the investment ID, the PSM declaration, all that applicable. I'm not too sure what is the PSM declaration, but I think this is with respect to portfolio management services or something. Is it that? Not very sure. So that is there. We would want to make sure that the RM has a clear understanding of what and how the customer should do the journey. Because what happens is sometimes we want the customer to do it, but the customer is helpless. He doesn't know how to navigate through those platforms, which tab needs to be entered, how he needs to do that. And that's why the RM should be able to guide the customer how to invest in mutual funds through the internet banking, mobile banking platforms. So one of the alternatives that we always suggest our RMs is make a few investments yourself so that you are familiar with the tabs, you know how to go about doing things so that you in turn can also educate your customers. So this is what we would want to share with our customers as well. Have a clarity on how to make those investments, how to track your respective portfolios, and at any point in time, if the customer is seeking your assistance, you can also do it on behalf of the customer with authentication and validations as well. So a little bit information on that is available here. Like I said, at any point in time, the ID needs to be created in the system that is matching the financial records. So that is what we have to say here. Let me see if there's anything else that we have missed out.
What is ABR?
Access Business Support.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So processes, I think this is what we have already discussed. Let me just have a quick check. Yeah, right. We move ahead. Any questions?
Vidya, only 1 hour session is there for mutual funds and IPS. So will
Correct.
we, yeah.
Yeah. So will we
So these,
what?
yeah, slides are very exhausted. So will we able to complete all these slides in 1 hour?
I
Because
don't
mutual
think there
fund,
are too many slides. Are they? Let me just have a quick check.
these
If
IPS
there-
slides are very descriptive. So do we need to go it, step by step?
Yeah,
Because
I
what,
mean, we'll have to manage the time a little bit. And as you know, कभी कभी questions आते हैं कि हमारे time ज़्यादा हो ही जाता है. So
हाँ,
maybe we'll have to, कि अपने sessions है तो I think we can have a better control depending upon what is your audience like. Because what happens is, as on today, if my majority of the audience doesn't have IPS, they will not be able to understand also, because उन्होंने वो system उनके पास है ही नहीं. So what they are seeing is what you're showing. There might be one or two, or there might be a few who might already have had their certifications and the mapping done, and they'll have access to IPS. So it depends on what is the position of your audience. And there could also be some who are not even certified. SVU and certifications भी नहीं है. So there could be this, they don't even know something as basics as what mutual funds are or what those things are that we have.
exactly,
तो
exactly.
देख लीजिए आप कैसे आप मैनेज कर पा रहे हो, या how is it that you can go about doing it. A little bit of extra time, even if you take, doesn't harm, because as long as we are able to complete, But this is what the thing is, and I'm not too sure, because while there has been a lot of updates and changes in IPS as well, and that's what I was given to understand in terms of process flow. They have tried to make some changes and tweaks there, so I'm not too sure whether वो उन लोग हमारे को help करके उनका session रखने वाले हैं कि नहीं. I'm not too sure. But this is on the condition that maybe अगर हमें session conduct करना पड़े तो अपने को इतनी awareness होनी चाहिए कि what are the alternatives and how it is going about doing things. For an RM, mutual funds and investments are where his maximum fee income comes in from, cross-sell income comes in from, and everything will be on hold the time he doesn't get certified. And because it's not only certification. For example, there could be cases that I'm certified, लेकिन that mapping is still to be done at Axis Bank. So मेरे पास certificate है, but मैंने NOC forward किया है, and there's a little bit of time lag that happens before the actual registration of my certifications are happening at the backend. So वो follow up RMs को करना पड़ेगा, and that is what you would want to tell them. At no point in time should there be any kind of pendency at the RM end. We would want RMs to ensure that from their side everything is over and done with, and if they have sent their required documents to the backend team, and they are also following it up aggressively, because only then will these IDs get created and mapped to them.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, a snapshot of the system in terms of your holdings, your loss, your transaction history, so on and so on, available for the customer, which he can, available for the RM, which he can obviously then share with the customer as well. And these are some of the key issues or errors that get found, and that is what we would want them to be careful about, be it in terms of account opening or their mutual fund applications, or in case of alternative products. So they would want to ensure that these are taken care and they don't end up in an NFTR, because again, then they have to go about the whole rework being done for the applications that the customer might have requested for. Right, so that is the end. I think roughly we have about 30-35 slides on the entire IPS journey is what we are talking about here.
Vidya, not related to this, I have 5 questions to ask.
Okay.
5. So first is, in that Forex thing, what is WID?
Work information.
Remittance.
Remittance mein, it is a back end ka WID, I think, is an ID that gets created, the work ID that gets created. The order ID. Today, if I generate a transaction in the system, there is a reference number, transaction number that gets generated. So that is that work ID.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the, there is a slide of limits, right? POS and ATM withdrawal limits. So these limits are per day or in total?
In Forex, depending upon the currency, right?
Yes, depending upon the currency, yes.
So those are the transaction limits that are there for that particular currency. So today, if USD is having, I think the amount is also mentioned, right? So
It
for
is
a particular value, what is the limit? So that is the maximum limit that can be availed from the ATM or the POS.
Okay, okay. And Club Vistara Forex card, you told that it is complimentary. What about the other cards for priority customers? Do they need to pay for it?
They will be charged, because those charges are also mentioned there.
Yes, charges are mentioned. Okay, 2 questions from yesterday's session. First is, RMs asked me, ma'am, you always talk about budget. Where we can see our budget? We are unaware
The budgets
about our
can be
budget.
seen in SAS. So SAS application, in fact, in the incentive document also, you would have shown the second last or the third last slide, which has an incentive calculator in branch analytics and the SAS link. So SAS is the application which is a pure MIS application where you can see your various KRAs. So what are your parameters? what are the budgets that have been allocated, and what is the performance against each of those KRA performers, KRA parameters. So it
I
is
think,
available in SAS.
yeah.
That is the primary link that you would recommend, but it is also replicated in your branch analytics. It is also to be seen in Priority Lighthouse. तो वहां पे भी आपको information मिलेगी, but KRA wise specific आपकी जो you know parameter wise budgets and achievements will be easily available at a single place called SAS.
Yes.
तो लिंक को स्क्रीन में भी दिखाया गया है हमने कि what is the link there, what is the application there.
I was not very sure. Last question, जो which we were discussing yesterday as well. Ma'am, अगर मैंने LI किया है किसी का, the customer is mapped to some other RM.
आपको क्रेडिट मिलेगा,
कस्टमर
आपको क्रेडिट मिलेगा.
तो जिसका कोड गया है उसको नहीं मिलेगा.
जिसका कोड कैसे गया है, अगर आपने एलआई किया है तो आपका ही कोड जाना चाहिए, किसी और का कोड कैसे जाएगा.
मैंने एलआई किया, लेकिन वो कस्टमर किसी और
मैप्ड है. हाँ, that is okay. That is what I'm saying. So today fee income is an open architecture, which means that आप किसी का भी business उठा के लाओ, आपको वो credit मिलेगा, whether the customer is mapped to you or not. The only
other than
thing,
Burgundy, other than Burgundy,
yeah. So
Okay,
today, when we are talking about customers, we would want to make sure that because this open architecture is there, that's why we give them that incentive कि if you want to do it from your map book, आपको credit ज़्यादा मिलता है for the same business that you do.
Okay,
तो वो slide हमने incentive का इसीलिए वो income booster का, fee income booster का इसीलिए हम वो बोलते हैं कि focus on your map book. बिजनेस तो आप कहीं से भी उठा के लाओ, आपको इंसेंटिव में ऐसा है कि जो भी आप करोगे सभी के लिए आपको इंसेंटिव मिलेगा. For any small or big business that you do, you qualify for incentives under fee income. But the added benefit you get only if you do business from your map book customers.
So that means my book is also vulnerable. मतलब और लोग भी मेरी book से business उठा सकते हैं ना?
उठा सकते हैं. It works both ways ना. Yeah.
Okay. Done. Okay, मेरे 5 questions. Thank you.
So only in KRA is for your mapped customers का MDAP credit अगर आपको चाहिए, balance credit के लिए it has to be necessarily mapped to you. But otherwise for other cross-sell products, it is an open architecture.
Okay.
Okay. So that was the session for Monday. Tomorrow again we'll meet at the same time.
I am not available on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
All
Same
right.
here. Same
All
here.
right.
So I'll listen to the recordings, not a problem.
Yes. So we will have the session as regular, and I think we'll be covering something else the following week part, and you can always go through the recordings and come back with doubts.
Yeah.
All right.
So
चलिए then.
Vidya, just वो
Yeah.
callable
Do the
deposit
session
वाला
tomorrow,
slide
ना?
का थोड़ा details बता देना, please.
Yeah,
before the
I'll see if I
session.
can get that information. If I get that
Shall
information, I'll
I
definitely
post
share.
a copy of that slide in the trainers group to just highlighting the clarifications which are required?
I have the slide. I have the slide in front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Vidya, we don't have a session tomorrow and day after, right?
No, tomorrow we are having a session on, I think GI, and the following on Saturday, we are having a session on LI. So these are again happening by third-party trainers.
Yeah, so then, like, I think I'm also not available tomorrow morning for our session. I mean, will we have TTT tomorrow?
So if majority are not there, then we'll not keep the session. We'll directly keep it on Monday.
Yeah, I think that's better.
I think that's better then. Chalo, theek hai. So we'll have the session next on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
All right. Chaliye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Just hold on. Just give me 1 minute. Let me just see what is the session plan, because we should be able to cover. Okay. I think because we have how many topics left to go? We are already done with Monday's session. Tuesday, we are having both the sessions will be taken by us only. there is NPS and there is home loan and loan against property on the Tuesday session. So those are 2 sessions that we need to complete. On Wednesday, we have auto loans and 24/7 loans done by us. So, ठीक है. So we will not have too much of a heads up, but we will be, like session और उसके पहले वाली discussion वैसा होगा. As long as that is okay with all of you all.
Vidya, it would be nice if we could get the content. So maybe we could go through it, and in case we have any queries, we could raise it also when you're doing the TTT.
Or
Sure.
else we can do it one day if you want on Saturday or something like that. I mean, maybe a break tomorrow and then Saturday and then Sunday again a break and then Monday. Maybe that.
नहीं, I'm available tomorrow. Saturday I will not be available. Monday, so like I said, tomorrow. if you
Sunday
want to
कर
do
लें
the
फिर एक ही
session-
दिन.
नहीं, Saturday, Sunday I will not be available. We
अच्छा.
would want to.
तो
So
Monday
आप
morning.
तो
मुझे कुछ
अगर
content please
majority
दीजिए
नहीं
ना।
है, like I said, we have about what morning के hours हैं. But this is what I'm saying because we will have to cover how many sessions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sessions are there. That we
So can
need to
we, if we can have a recording and see whenever
recording
we
तो हो
want.
जाएगा. Recording तो वैसे भी हर session का available ही है.
नहीं वो हम करेंगे तब होता है ना. अगर हम करेंगे ही नहीं तो भी रिकॉर्डिंग हो जाएगा तो सब लोग अपने अपने हिसाब से देख लेंगे. That can also be done. Because I'm not there
At least
tomorrow
if we
morning.
get the content also, Shilpa, I think it will be good. We can go through the content, and many of these are self-explanatory, and then we could raise the
Yeah.
queries. Vidya could go a little
Absolutely.
fast also in that case.
Absolutely. So content and recording भी मिल जाएगा तो उसके बेसिस पे we'll be ready. Monday के सेशन की आपको
Done.
टेंशन हो रही है ना कि कैसे रेडी
नहीं,
होगा.
Monday की session तो अपनी हो गई है.
Tuesday की प्रॉब्लम है.
Tuesday में हमारे पास 2 sessions हैं, which is NPS and loan against property, which we'll be able to cover on Monday. Wednesday, we are again having 2 sessions, which we'll have to do it on Tuesday. वैसे. So what I'm saying is we have a margin of only 1 day. वैसा. So I will arrange for the content to reach all and we can go ahead and do the sessions as
Okay.
planned.
I'm okay with it. Anju and Shashwati, आप बताओ, is it fine?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I said. I'm anyway
Yeah.
not available. I'm traveling tomorrow up to Sunday. So I'm not available. So if we get the content, we can go through it. And in case
Vidya,
there's any queries.
Sushmita
we can-
here.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Shushmita.
Good morning, ma'am.
I didn't see you. Yeah, hi, Shushmita.
You are not audible, ma'am.
I heard you. Currently, you're not audible.
Vidya, am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes. Now you're audible. Clear.
Vidya, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hi.
Hi, Shushmita. Are you able
Good
to
morning.
hear us?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, sorry. Okay, am I audible now?
Shushmita, you're audible to us.
Okay.
Yes, we'll
So
share
yeah,
the
Vidya, I think it's
yeah.
a good idea that we can share
We'll
the
share the
content in
content,
whatever
yeah.
format we have, and
Okay.
the final design content we can share later.
All right. So that also is possible.
Okay, like for
Will do.
example, day 5 तक का हमने share कर दिया है.
कर दिया
So
है.
if you could, share with them day 6, day 7, day 8, whatever you are, go.
Yes. Will do. I think आपकी audio. Oh, she dropped off. Let her join back.
Do we have TTT tomorrow?
So we'll keep the TTT directly on Monday. We'll share the content upfront so that you can go through the content.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so final slides will come later on for you, but you'll have a fair idea of what the content is.
Yes.
So ensure you use the final slides for presentation because those will be reworked. The base content we can share with you.
Done.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Yeah.
नहीं
All-
बोलना था.
Okay, bye. Have a nice
Bye.
day.
Okay, bye. Thank
Nice
you.
weekend. Bye bye,
Bye.
and happy journey to
Okay.
Shashwati.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Shashwati, where are you traveling?
Jaipur.
Hey, you are coming to my place.
Anju stays in Jaipur.
Yes.
Oh.
All
My
right.
husband's gone out of station today. He's gone to Bangladesh. So I said, let me also go out and have some fun. So I'm also going
Oh,
out.
acha, it's not work related.
No, not
Acha.
at all.
I thought maybe
I'm
you had
all
some
alone
session or
at home
something.
actually, you know, with Vidya, I'm all
I know.
alone. Yeah,
I
so
know,
I
I
said,
know, I know.
and no classes, so I said, I'm also going out.
Okay, okay. So enjoy your Jaipur trip. How is the
Thank you.
weather in Jaipur? I think I'm sure it must be extremely hot now. Abhi yahan Mumbai
Is it
itself
hot?
is so hot.
Daytime में कुछ होगा. दिल्ली का जैसे ही होगा, I'm sure.
चलेबल है चलेबल.
चले.
चलेगा, हाँ. चला देंगे.
Chalo, bye. Yeah.
Okay, chalo.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye. Yeah, bye bye.
बाय बाय. मैम मुझे कॉल करिएगा. अरे चली गई. बाय.